Friends, I hope everybody's having an absolute amazing day. I want to talk to you today about one of my favorite topics in Christianity to speak on. Now, it's a topic that a lot of people don't talk about. You don't hear a lot of messages about it. You don't read a lot of books on it. And you don't see a lot of conferences on it. It is the subject of fasting. Now, at the first of the year, you'll hear quite a few people talk about fasting. At the very end of a year, you'll hear people talk about going into a fast and seeking the Lord. But this year, I've never heard as many people talk about fasting as you usually do. Also, this year, I've received more emails, text messages, Facebook messages about fasting. And this is what is blowing my mind. How many believers who have been in churches all of their life are messaging me and they're like, JoJo, I've never heard about fasting. I mean, Christians, people that I know that are living a life for the Lord, they're like, we don't know anything about fasting. We've never heard about fasting. And so people have been messaging me about, can you explain what fasting is? Can you explain what types of fast there are? And, you got to look at Matthew 6:17. Jesus was sitting down talking to his disciples, and he said, when you fast, right there, if you are a believer in Jesus Christ, if you are a follower in Christ, you need to be somebody who fasts. Jesus told his disciples, when you fast, he didn't say if you fast, but when you fast. What we have to understand is that fasting brings extreme clarity to our hearts and mind. A lot of people, they don't like to fast because it is so hard on the flesh. That's Jesus's point exactly. Your spirit is crying out, please go on a fast, die to the flesh, and live in the Spirit. There's so many people that you are believing for big breakthroughs in your life. You need key wisdom and key insight. And the reason you're not getting it is probably because you haven't fasted in your life. So I want to come on here today and I want to teach you, train you, and equip you. I love to encourage people and equip people when it comes to the topic of fasting. So we're going to jump into this and I'm going to give you the 4 basic type of fast, okay? Hey, remember this. Remember when the man that had the son that was like a paralytic and he had seizures and he brought him to the disciples prayed and the boy wouldn't get better. And then when Jesus came down, he spoke to the son who had the seizures and he was immediately healed right then. Well, in private, the disciples were like, Jesus, how come we prayed for the dude and nothing happened? But when you came up on the scene, you prayed and the demons fled. The boy was healed. And Jesus' response to them was this type only comes out by prayer and fasting. Like I said, Matthew 6:17, Jesus told his disciples, when you fast, don't be like hypocrites. And don't be the one to say, oh, look at me, I'm fasting, I'm trying to be holy. When you fast, you're not trying to manipulate God or show people how holy you are. Fasting is when you are consecrating yourself at a deeper level to Jesus Christ. Now, let's get into the 4 basic fasts. The first one is a full fast. It is a complete fast. There's 35 recorded fasts in the Bible, and 4 times people went on 40-day complete fast, or some people call it a full fast. And so what that is only liquid, mainly water with a little bit of juice. I add coffee into mine, but it's just liquids only. Now think about this. How much time do you spend on breakfast, lunch, and dinner? You fast all of that. So if you get up and you make a big breakfast for yourself, you fast the whole time. You're cooking, you're eating, you're cleaning, all of it. Now, for lunch at your job, when you're on a fast, you don't work through your lunch hour. That is called a diet, my friends. We're not talking about a diet. We're talking about fasting. You stay in your office and you read the word or you pray or you go get in your car and you spend that hour with the Lord. Now, if you're single, this is what you do. When you go home, you get ready, you go to the grocery store, you cook, you eat, and then you clean up. All that time you can spend in fasting. Now, my wife and I, since we have kids, if we're both fasting, like we'll prepare a meal for our children, they'll eat. But while they're eating, we'll go into a place and we'll pray and seek the Lord, and then we'll come back and clean up. You don't, fast your responsibilities as a spouse or a parent. But there's times like I may be fasting, or let's say my wife is fasting. The other one will prepare the meal, feed the children, then clean up while the other one's fasting. You will get extreme clarity from God on key situations in your life when you fast. Now, like I said earlier, it blows my mind how many people have never been taught on fasting. They've never been trained in their church. But if you look at the life of Jesus Christ, fasting was a huge part of what Jesus did. So you need to learn on that to live a more effective life as a believer. The second type of fast is a Daniel fast. And of course, Daniel is the one who modeled it. As he was praying and believing God, for 21 days, the Bible said he had no meats or no sweets for 21 days. He fasted those things that were pleasurable to him. He wanted to die that part of the flesh. He still ate like beans and nuts and salads and different things like that. But he had no meats and sweets for 21 days. I've done some of those and I've received, great benefits from them. I've drawn closer to God. Now, I'm going to tell you the best, most effective type of fast there is the full fast, the complete fast. When you go on those type of fasts, you will get extreme clarity from God. You will get wisdom and insight. There's been times I've fasted when I've been to doctors and I didn't get healed from something, and I would fast and say, God, I need to know what I need to do in these situations. I got clarity. There's times I started every ministry my wife and I are doing today. I usually got those on a fast. I said, God, what do you want me to step into? What do you want me to do? And there's times that I would pull away. There's times I pull away from activities that different people are doing, and I will spend extra time in prayer. So the first fast is the full fast. The second one is the Daniel fast. The third fast is a neat fast. It's called a partial fast. I do a lot of these. A partial fast is you set yourself aside for a certain part of the day not to eat. And what I do a lot of times is I'll go on a partial fast and I'll eat one meal a day, and it's at night with my family. We share a family meal the majority of the nights of the week. That's how we keep the family strong. So what I do is I fast breakfast and I fast lunch. But let's say I do this for a week, and so I'll actually be fasting 14 meals during that week. But I spend time with my family on that meal. That is called a partial fast. Now, the fourth type of fast is an intermittent fast. And I really like these fasts. And an intermittent fast is one like this. You may say, I'm going to fast Monday through Wednesday for a month. So that will be about 12 days in a regular month, maybe 13, 14, depends on how the days fall. But you'll fast 2 to 3 days a week for a certain period of time. I know a lady one time, she said, I fasted every other day for a full year. And in that year, I remember halfway through the year, I said, what is going on in your life? I see God moving so strong and so powerfully in your life. And she said, well, I don't like to tell people. I said, you need to tell me. She said, I'm fasting. I said, what are you doing? You just seem like you're getting so close to God and your wisdom and revelation is growing in the Lord. She said, well, I've decided to fast for a whole year, but every other day. And I said, that's so good. That's so powerful. And on an intermittent fast like that, what I like to do from time to time is, I remember one time I felt the Lord say, I want you to fast Monday for like half a year. There's been times that the Lord will say, I want you to fast Monday through Wednesday for a whole month or for a full season. And so there's different times that you could do something like that. Be led of the Lord and allow the Lord to lead you. Now, when you go on a fast, you have a start time and you better get an end time, and you better know when the end time is going to be, because if you just say, I'm going to fast until I'm done, your flesh will tell you are done before you even start. Your flesh will always fight against you when you are fasting. But listen, why do you fast? You fast to get out of comfort zones. You fast to break out of those zones that you get in, you feel comfortable. You fast to get out of the mundane. You fast to get out of complacency. My friends, there's more in you than you could ever even imagine. The true you, a lot of times, is hid behind a fast. Now, I want to talk about something that's not really fasting, but people call it a fast, but it is more of a sacrifice. And I'll tell you, I love these. It's like some people call it a media fast, but the word fast actually means abstaining from food. But what a media fast is when you give up something, for a few days a week or for a few months or whatever. I'll tell you a story. I remember one time I felt the Lord lay on my heart to do a media sacrifice over SportsCenter. So I told my wife, I'm going to give up SportsCenter for a month. I'm not going to watch SportsCenter for a month. Well, 6 months later, my wife said, when is the fast over, or when is the sacrifice over for SportsCenter? I said, I don't know. I'll probably never watch it again. I'm used to not watching it. But during that hour for that month, I would set that time aside and I would pray. Well, when I got used to not, watching SportsCenter, now I spend that time with my family. And then it just kept going to where we basically just shut TV off in our house because we never even watched it. I'm telling you, when you are obedient to fast and do things like that for the Lord, it will change your life. And God is looking for people that will seek Him. All throughout the Bible, it says, those that diligently seek the Lord will find Him. And when you go on a fast, that is diligently seeking the Lord. 2 Chronicles 16:9 says, the eyes of the Lord move to and fro throughout the whole earth, that God can find somebody whose heart is completely loyal to Him. And when God finds that person, He will show Himself strong on behalf of that person. So, have you ever thought about maybe a person whose heart is completely consecrated to God could be somebody fasting? And when God finds that person, He will show Himself strong on their behalf. My friends, I hope this video encouraged you today. I hope it equipped you and trained you. If it did, go ahead and share this so other people can be encouraged to fast and seek the Lord. And if you want any more information about what my wife and I do, go to jojodawson.net. Go to our YouTube channel. It's at just Jojo Dawson. Type it in on YouTube, and you're actually going to probably see this video on there. And we are giving our lives to equip and train people to get closer to God. God bless.